Hello and welcome to another live with me, Jessica from the Tunisian Crochet Graphghan Boutique. Today we're down in the kitchen and we're going to talk about what you need for the dyeing tea cowl. So I've gotten together a few things that you're going to need, and a few people have said they don't have an old pot to do this in, and you do not, excuse me, you do not need an old pot. You actually can do your dyeing in like a ice cream bucket from those gallon size ice cream things. Um, Anything that is going to hold up to pretty much boiling water. Not that you're going to be boiling it in it. You will be adding like really, really hot water. You don't want it boiling, but at a simmer's rate. Um, I'm down here today cooking my pumpkins down because the holiday is over and we're starting to get some chilly weather. So I actually have pumpkin butter going. So my little teeny weeny galley style kitchen is an absolute disaster. Looks like a bomb went off. It's hard to cook when you have so little space and you're cooking everything from scratch. So let me see if I can let's see. Hey, Karen, hey, Angela. Everything on here is so much. Okay, so here's what we're going to do since this is not going to cooperate with me as much as I would like for it to. So what we have is some dish soap. You're just going to need a little squirt of dish soap, so don't feel like you got to go out and buy a whole bunch. I know a lot of people that have dishwashers don't usually have a lot of dish soap on hand, so don't feel like you have to go out and buy a lot. You're just going to need a squirt of the dish soap. You're going to need white vinegar. So you're just going to need that. You're going to need your RIT dye. This is the all-purpose dye, and this is an indigo. You can use any color you want to, which is why we're working with the cotton in white. So you can pick out whatever color you want. And oh my gosh, they have so many colors. And if you go online to RIT dye, it shows you how you can mix colors to get colors. And it makes like a bazillion colors. And before that, they have like 50 different colors that you can even order and get at like Michael's, Joann's, Walmart has it. So you're going to need either a pan or pot if you have one that you use for crafts that you're not going to be eating out of. Or you can, like I said, you can use the ice cream bucket. Hey, Susan. I have a little restaurant pan that I like to use. And I do have an actual pot that I do have set aside for crafts that I do use if I'm doing something bigger. But what we're doing is something small, and this is just to teach you how to do it and to see what all's involved, because I know it gets very intimidating when people talk about dyeing and then you see you have to wear a respirator with the powders, and you can inhale the powders and the jacquard and the acid dyes and stuff like that. So I know people get very nervous about that. The RIT dye, I'm not going to say it doesn't have a smell, but it doesn't really have like a strong odor, I would say. When you open the lid of the RIT dye, I mean, don't put your nose right up to it, because if you get dye on it, it will dye your face. But you can kind of smell it. And like I said, I don't feel like, you can tell that I've been dyeing because of the smell through the house, but it doesn't have like a strong odor that's enough to give you a headache. At least I don't find that it does. Some of the other stuff that I've worked with has more of a chemical smell and is very, very strong. So I don't like to use that. So, but we're going to be using the RIT die and doing a simple little dyeing project with that. And all you're going to have is a kettle of water or a gallon of water on the stove. And you can bring that to a boil and then put it in your container. And then add your dye and your vinegar to that. Um, some people say they like to add a little bit of the soap to the water. Some people don't. I feel like the vinegar kind of sets it, but I do like to use a little bit of soap in there. And then when you're done, you're going to be rinsing your project out. So you can either do that in like a deep sink in the basement, or your water. Pretty much once you take your water, my RIT dye water, you can either dump it in the toilet or you can dump it outside. I dump mine outside since all it has is the dye and the a little bit of vinegar and a little bit of the soap, the Dawn dish soap. I don't find that I have any issues. So I either put it there or down the deep sink. So it's going to depend on where you live, if you're rural, whatnot. So does anybody have any questions about what we're going to need, or anything else about the supply list? Did everybody download the supply list and get all that done? Hey, Melinda. Yeah, so basically that's pretty much all you're going to need is your pan, your RIT dye, your soap, and you're pretty much going to be done. There's really not a lot once you have your project made up. So I find it pretty easy. And I wanted to start with something easy and simple that we could whip up and color. Like I said, RIT dye has a ton of dyes and colors and schemes that you can match, and you can go online. They have a whole chart that you can download. So if you wanted like a dark teal, then it tells you to mix like the emerald and the teal and, you know, a blue together. They have some amazing colors. So we are going to do a question post in here. So in the meantime, if anybody has any questions about that, pop your questions on there, and I will get to that. I'm sorry that I didn't get to the live the other day. Things have been a little crazy with the holidays coming up and cooking down pumpkins and trying to get ready for Christmas here. So, but the pattern is up, so you can start that. You do not have to do your dishcloth in the pattern stitches that we have. Everything for this is calculated based on that, but if you chose that you wanted to use another stitch and just do 32 stitches and 32 rows, then go ahead and do whatever stitch you want. The only requirement is, like I said, you have to use the white cotton yarn because we're going to be dyeing it. So does anybody have any questions? I know Facebook takes a minute to catch up. So what we're going to do is we're going to give this week for everybody to be able to get their supplies in and crochet up your dishcloth. Honestly, the dishcloth, with it being 32 stitches and 32 rows, it's not even going to take a day to crochet up. Unless you're learning a new stitch, then I could say, you know, it may take a little bit longer. just because, you know, new stitches are fun and learning a new thing is always interesting, and trying to uh, frog and see what it looks like and if it's a stitch you're actually going to like or not. And then you have to frog that and find another stitch. So um, we picked up one with a pretty simple repeat. It's the seed stitch. So the pattern is up. And if you guys need anything, don't hesitate to message me, ask in the group. Unfortunately, in a CAL, you cannot tag people. So if you have a question and you need to tag me, then do it in the main group, because if you do it here, I'm not going to see it. That's just the way Facebook is, unfortunately. Um, so if you guys have any questions or need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. And I look forward to seeing you at the end of this week. Bye, guys.